Hello, people. Welcome to the match reaction for Arsenal or Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0. Listen, I don't like listen. It's a tough one because I want to say that I'm surprised that we lost that game. I thought we could build off of the Newcastle performance, but first couple of minutes of that game showed me everything I needed to see. Arsenal have this weird habit of starting off games really poorly and then maintaining that level or dropping. If we don't start off well, there's nothing that we can do. We just stay bad. And first couple minutes, and then, we concede. And I never felt for a single second after that we would come back into that game. And I'm kind of at the point now where, yes, there were some really bad individual performances in there. I thought Marino was poor. I thought Trossard was poor. I thought Martinelli was poor. I thought both Saliba and Gabriel were horrendous for the goal. Isak was all by himself. Havertz was a ghost, so obviously individual performances are there, but we're at the stage now where we have a body of games now where we can look back on all of the performances and take away the results and have an honest conversation about how we haven't looked good all season. And no matter who's playing, even when Odegaard was there, the level was not high enough. So, individually, there's obviously some players that need to look at themselves in the mirrors, but I actually don't think there's anybody that needs to look at themselves in the mirror more than Mikel Arteta. He has derailed our football to the point where, you can accept not playing good football, like aesthetically pleasing football, if it's effective, because those things can exist. You can play not the most aesthetically pleasing football, but be more effective like we were at the beginning of 2024. But now it's not even about the aesthetics. The way that we play is not effective. We don't create chances. We don't create dangerous opportunities. We go through long patches of games where we don't even put the other team under threat. We never look like scoring a goal. Not once in that game. Not before they scored, not after they scored. We had one shot on goal the whole game. And that's not like something that we've never seen before. It's something that we see often, especially this season. I think that the games against Leicester and Southampton kind of skewed our chance creation numbers, because obviously we created a lot of chances against them. We still struggled because we're giving up really soft goals. But now we're at the stage where we're playing up against better teams and we can't even beat Bournemouth or create chances against Bournemouth. And Bournemouth is not a bad side, but those are the types of games that a team that's supposedly supposed to be winning the league should have separation between them. And there is no separation between us and Bournemouth. We're there's no separation between us and Newcastle. None. We don't look like the better team. Even if you lose, sometimes you can look at the game and be like, okay, they just missed chances and they give up a soft goal. No, you genuinely cannot say that we look like the better team in any of these games. This is the second really poor away performance that we've had in the league. And they come back to back, and it's not because we went down to 10 men against Bournemouth. We're just not playing well. And so, yeah, a lot of focus on Marino, a lot of focus on Trossard, a lot of focus on Martinelli. But even when Marino wasn't playing, even when Trossard wasn't starting, even when, Martinelli, whatever, we haven't played well all season. So I'm really struggling to do the individual scapegoating, because I know that right after a game, it's I just want to get into the players that I think played like shit. But I'm actually more concerned that no matter who we play, we don't look good. Because I didn't think we played well against Wolves, but we won the game. We didn't play well against Brighton. We drew that game. Them games Odegaard played. against Atalanta, Odegaard played. So it's not just like if we're not playing against a really poor team like in the League Cup, we're really like our football is really bad. And it's not just one player that looks bad, it's so many players look bad. So yeah, the individual performances of some players I thought was just like, oh my gosh, like this is just not it. But actually lay most of the defeat on Mikel. Honestly. Like he constructed the team and the football. The football that we play is not effective. There were at points in that game where Timber was the only player that had any sort of freedom and was allowed to get up the pitch. And if he didn't create, nothing happened. And our game plan being the left back, being our number 10, is just so ineffective. Like, it's just not, your fullback should be an additional creative source, not the only creative source. And right now, our left back is our only creative source. If Calafiori's playing there, if Timber's playing there, if Zinchenko's playing there, those players have got to invert and create opportunities for the team. And asking defenders to be your most creative player is just horrendous. It's just not the way to do it. So and that's how it wasn't like that before. It was like, yeah, we had a lot of emphasis on our left back, but creativity was coming from multiple places. And a lot of that was coming from, at first it was coming from Jesus, and then obviously you have Odegaard, and your wingers are more creative because in that first season, Martinelli and Saka were both doing goals and assists. Now, Martinelli is like a 0. You lost all of whatever creativity you're getting from Jesus. It's not there because Havertz is a completely different player. No Odegaard there. And Xhaka and Moreno are different. So you don't have Xhaka's creative passing that he has. And then now all you have is your fullback. How do you expect to score goals without creativity in your team? And he throws Nwaneri in there, and I don't think Nwaneri was necessarily super effective, but maybe if he had been playing like from the beginning, as soon as Odegaard got injured, maybe he would be like up to speed. Because throwing him into a game like that, where the team is playing horrendously and already gave up, at the minute that Newcastle scored, they gave up. As far as I was concerned, those boys they just gave up. Like, they were like, we're not going to score a goal. And so Arteta will probably use that as like his, oh, well, it doesn't work. I'm telling you, he needs time. But I just still believe that Nwaneri should have been playing from the moment that Odegaard got injured, because Trossard in the 10 is a Band-Aid. It was a Band-Aid for a singular game. Just like Thomas Partey at right back is a Band-Aid for a singular game. It's the type of moves that you make when you're under duress and you don't have any other options, and you do it for a game and you get away with it and you're like, whew, that worked. Now I can go and find a more long-term solution. But what he does is it works, and then he doubles down on stupidity. There's no reason why Thomas Partey should have played right back today. He should have been in midfield. He should have just played one of our right backs there. It just never made sense for a single second to have him in there. But he wants his cake and eat it too. He wants Thomas Partey out there. He wants Moreno out there. He wants Declan Rice out there. He wants all the DMs in there that he can possibly get, but he can't possibly find room for an attacking midfielder. He cannot possibly find room for an attacking midfielder. And I love Trossard down, but he is a Band-Aid in that situation under duress. If you have an attacking midfielder in your team, in your squad, you play them for the run of games. You don't play Trossard in that position. And Trossard is a walking time bomb. He is a suicide bomber for the last month. He has been actively trying to blow himself up. Actively. And Arteta just won't get him out of his own way. He won't get him out of his own way. And so I'm finding it difficult to really lay the blame on the players, because I don't think our players are bad. I think other managers play better football than us with worse players. I think our football is bad because Mikel is coaching them poorly. I think he has unraveled the things that made us good 2 years ago, and at the back end of last season, he's went totally away from it. And you can't go a whole game after conceding in the 12th minute and have one shot on goal and not look like scoring. To me, that is just ridiculous. And you just knew it. Just like I knew when we played against Bournemouth, knew we weren't going to score a goal. You just could feel it. You can feel when we're not going to score. So, yes. You want to say hello? I don't think you guys have ever really seen Benzema. But why are you jumping up here? But yeah, like I can't look past the coaching. I cannot look past the coaching. The football is dire and has been all season. The only thing is now we don't have Odegaard, so it's making it even worse. It's making it even worse, you know? And so, yeah. Oh, you scared? You're scared? He said, I'm scared now. He said, I'm scared of Arteta's football. No. So, yeah, but it's insane. Vig says, certain man we're chatting about, we look better without Odegaard. We were playing against Leicester and Southampton, and in those games, you would expect a team of our level to be able to batter teams. And we still struggled in those games, by the way. We didn't look free-flowing. We didn't look great. We just created a lot of chances because, get off of there, because those teams are not very good. But every time we played against a better side, we've struggled to score goals and create chances. Even against PSG, we didn't create a lot of chances. Against Liverpool, we didn't create a lot of chances. A lot of little half opportunities, bad shots from bad angles. We're not playing good football. And when I say good football, I'm not talking about just aesthetics. I'm saying like effective football. You know, you have all these really tall players in your team. Declan Rice, Marino, Havertz. We can't cross the ball to save our lives. What's the point of having these tall players in our team if we can't cross the ball to save our lives? Martinelli is crossing the ball, and Havertz and Martinelli are actively crossing the ball to Saka at the back post, who's probably one of the worst headers of the ball we have in our team. No shade to Saka. Saka is our best player, but the boy can't head the ball to save his life. So why are we hanging it up to the back post for him? But we got Havertz and Marino and Rice and all these tall ass players. I'm sorry, Newcastle, one cross and a goal. Boom. Why can't we do that? If we're the type of team that's going to play agricultural, we'll get fucking good at crossing a damn ball. Get good at heading the ball in the back of the net. We don't even do that. We just like play around in the half spaces and, fuck around and try to pass it to our fullback. And our fullback has to try to be our most creative player. It is the most bizarre football I've ever seen, and it's just every element that made us good. It's like he's derailed, and we could finish this weekend in 7th. It's not looking good for the title race as far as I'm concerned. You guys know my feelings on it. I think it was lost in the summer when we didn't buy the players that we needed to buy. And now we're at the stage where it's like, I think top 4 might actually end up being a little bit of a struggle just because we're struggling to, just score goals and be like a normal good team. And the players are flat. They're not playing with energy. It's just, yeah. So, yeah, I'm struggling with the individual blame game because I don't think we're being like, it's not like he's leading them to the final third and the chances are there and they're just missing chances. We're not creating chances. We're not dangerous. We don't look like scoring. We play at the same, we're like a painting of just black and white and tones of gray. Like there is no different level for us. We're so flat. There's no vibrancy to this team. There's no energy. There's no excitement to the way that we attack. We play at the same speed all game, whether we're on top, whether we're draw, whether we're losing. We play at this very slow, pissy way of playing. And now, like, it's not even like we're keeping the ball and we're passing it crisply. Guys are banging the ball with their toe and shit. Passing it, they're playing hot potato. They're passing it into each other's waistlines and passing it into each other's shins and shit. And it's just like, I don't know if I could do this. Like, I really don't, because I could understand more if we went to Newcastle and they played well and we tried and but they just beat us because they were just so much better than us, or they had a really good game. But it doesn't take much to beat us now. It doesn't. It doesn't take much to rattle us. We're not a hard team to beat right now. All you have to do is score first or weather that 10-minute storm at the beginning and wait for us to fuck up. So, yeah. Individual performances were not great, but I can't look beyond the football that we're playing. I cannot look past it. It's so bad. And I felt that way when we played against Wolves and Brighton at the beginning of the season. Even with Odegaard, I was just like, something is not right. When we played away at Aston Villa, the way that we played in that game, we were lucky. It was a smash and grab. Away at Spurs, we couldn't pass the ball to each other. We won, but we were ass. Now the performances are like the results are catching up with the performances, and our level has not gone up. And so, yeah, I'm really struggling with what's going on now because I can't even it's not even like we went out there and we bought really good players that took us to the next level and it's just not working out yet. This is off of the back of a really poor window in the summer where we needed to go up a level. We needed to buy a striker or a winger or both. We needed to buy a marquee midfield signing. We went into the summer talking about Bruno Guimaraes or even Zubamendi, and I like Marino, but Marino wasn't the player that we needed. We needed something else, and he'll work as a person in the squad, but that wasn't really what we were looking for, and I think we all know it. And then we went out there and we got another left back, and I love Calafiori, but he's not even playing. He's injured, so fuck. Blaze says, this is why I was worried when we lost last season title race, because this season Arteta had pressure to win something. I like Arteta, but 5 years without winning major trophies is not good enough. Laughing Man says, pretty much everyone mistakes are crap. Jonathan says, does Arteta even want star attackers? He can't handle them. I mean, you can't go 3 years without buying an attacker, like a star attacker. You just can't. So I don't know what his problem is. Concrete Jungle says Tross needs to hold bench. Nelly needs bench. We don't shoot, cross, nothing. We just play pass, left, middle, right, repeat. I would just say the problem with benching Martinelli and Trossard is that now we're talking about the Sterlings and the Jesuses who are also not playing particularly well or, for Arsenal. So, yeah, it's again, when you look at your options and you're Sterling, Jesus, Trossard, Martinelli, you only have Saka. That's it. You don't have anything else. You don't have any other elite attacker, that can really do something. And even Saka sometimes doesn't have the best games like today. And so it's Nelly holding bench for what? For Sterling? Trossard holding bench for what? Jesus? You're really fucked until Odegaard comes back. Seriously. UK Arsenal says we're paying the price for not buying a striker. Today's game decided by a striker for Newcastle. Yeah, I mean, you could say that, but you can also I do think that there were times where we could have been hungrier in the box. And, if your game plan is to have your center forward not in the box because they're creating space for someone else, and then you have Rice or, Marino or these guys crashing the box, you're never going to score goals. Your striker has to be the one that's meant to be in the box. And often we see this with Mikel. The striker always ends up being anywhere other than inside the box. And I'm just wondering who Saka and Martinelli are crossing the ball to. And guys are just not hungry. They're just not hungry. I mean, this is where they need to look at themselves in the mirror and say, did I actually really try to get that ball? Or was I just going through the motions? Because guys were not hungry today, so it's twofold. I think the way that we play means that our striker is not going to be where they're supposed to be anyway. But, guys were not hungry because in the first half, they were half chances, but they're the type of chances that if you really crash the box and you try to get your toe on it, you might be able to bundle it over and there was just nobody there. So I hear you. Big says, why was Havertz in the 10? Somebody explain it to me. I don't know. Shamaria says Arteta is nothing without Saka and Odegaard, I'm afraid. I just I just don't like, as much as because even with Odegaard, he's not going to be enough to help us win every single game from here on out. We're still going to lose games. We're still going to have bad moments. And so, just, oh, well, if Saka and Odegaard get them back and it's all fine. It's not. It's not. Um, we were dropping points even with Odegaard in the team. So, um, yeah, we'll play better football, but I just feel like there's, Mikel needs to be able to have us play a better brand of football without certain players in the team, or we're never going to be a good side, you know. And he was getting away with it. And sometimes I wish that it didn't work so that he has to try something else, because once we won a game with Trossard in the 10, he decided that that was fine. Once we won a game with Partey at right back, he just decided that that was just fine. And it's just like, why do you double down on shit like that? I don't get it. But Chosen One says, without Odie, game plan is literally Saka, bail us out, or set pieces. And our set pieces are not great right now either. I know that we scored one against Liverpool, but it's really dried up this season. Like, we're not even being carried by that, which is the whole beginning of last season. We were set piece FC and we were kind of getting over it. It's getting fewer and far between. I think teams have cottoned on to us a little bit, and we're just not as hungry as we were before. And so we need to learn how to just be a effective team in the attack. We're just not. And also, questions need to be asked of our defense, because the goals that we've given up this season are so soft. The goal today, I know that it was like, well, it was Isak, so there's nothing we could do. It was a beautiful goal. But you had two Arsenal center backs and a striker in between the two of them. Saliba could see him the whole way. So either he needs to tell Gabriel or he needs to take responsibility. He didn't do anything. And so, as good of a goal as that was, the goals that we're giving up, like the first goal against Liverpool, was so fucking soft. It was ridiculous. So not only are we not a good defensive side anymore, but we're also not a good attacking side. Everything is broken right now. And everybody's trying to find the individual that's the reason, the player. And I just think the manager is coaching bad football. I think it's just that simple. Because even with not having a striker, not having, bought the players in the summer, we should be able to play better football than what we're playing now, because we've seen this team play better football. Without Calafiori, without Marino, without Sterling, we have played better football with this group. We have. With Jorginho, with fucking Rice, like, we've played better football with Kivior at left back. So we're not playing good football. And that's, to me, on the manager. That's beyond like the fuck up in the summer. That will always go down as like one of the most perplexing things I've ever seen. Is you lose out on the title twice and you still don't go out there and buy an attacker, is just the most shocking thing I've ever seen. Donnie says, why bring on Ethan and Gabriel Jesus when they should have started? Well, Jesus should never start a game for Arsenal Football Club. So she shouldn't even be in this conversation. Gabriel Jesus has done nothing this season to deserve any level of starting. And when he did have opportunities to start against Southampton at home, against Atalanta in the Champions League, he shat the bed. But Ethan probably should have started. But again, like I said, Arteta was going to use the Trossard Band-Aid until Odegaard came back. And instead of utilizing the time that we had with those easier games to bleed Ethan in so he could play with somebody that's even remotely similar to Odegaard in his absence, he didn't do that. So he lost that opportunity. Shamaria says, why does Arteta need for perfection to get his team to perform? I don't know. Victor says, everything must be perfect for Arteta to win this league. Jonathan says, wow, I didn't realize our attack is this bad. I don't know. I mean, I feel like, again, there were people that were screaming, we scored 91 goals last season. We scored a large amount of those goals in a small period of time. But across the season, There were games last season where we struggled to score, where we didn't look like scoring against Aston Villa home and away, against West Ham at home, Liverpool at home in the cup. And no team that wants to win the league looks blunt that much at home. So our attack was okay last season. If we're playing well, we can get it done. But there's no like insurance policy if we're not playing well. If we're not playing well, there's no assurance policy. There's no, just kick it down the channel to so and so or just cross it into so and so. There is no magic moment coming. But we've known that for 2 seasons. So I don't really feel bad for the club because I'm like, I could have told you that. We knew that after the first season that we challenged for the league. We should have been bought attackers. I think people are genuinely surprised outside of Arsenal that we still haven't bought any attackers. Mata says, do we not have options because the system we are playing though? I mean, is it the system or is it the players? You know, I've always said that I feel like if you gave the same group of players to another manager, we could play better football with what we have. So I don't think I think we're more limited to the way that we play based on the fact that Arteta needs certain players in the team for it even to function. So I think we do have limited options because of the system that we're playing. That being said, the quality of our attackers is still not good enough because like we're talking about a team that we might finish this weekend in 7th. Like even if our system was playing the way that it did in 2022, 2023, which we're getting the most out of what we had. There was not a single thing that we could have done better, really, in that season. We were as good as we were going to be, and we fell short. You could have still added better attackers into that group, So does that make sense? That even though the system is limiting our options, the options that we have are still not good enough to reach the goals that we are supposed to have, the goals that we have, which is winning the league. Brian, thank you so much for your super chat. Says that was a sackable performance. We suck. Time to get a list of potential managers. And listen, if he doesn't win a trophy, we can start like really talking about this kind of stuff. But it's like it's impossible to have an honest conversation about Mikel because there's too many people in this fan base that are afraid to go back into Emery out and Wenger out. And so anytime you talk about it, you're called Lee Gunner or negative or hyperbolic or whatever. But I'm not particularly wedded to a manager. I feel like in this day and age, managers come and go. And, the idea that you're going to have another Arsene is very unlikely. And the life cycle of a project, it should obviously, if you're bringing in a manager that needs time to develop, you're going to give him more time than you probably would a more seasoned manager. But there still needs to be a point in time where you evaluate it and you say, okay, what are our expectations and are we meeting those? And I feel like right now we're kind of in that period where it's like, okay, are you going to win trophies or not? And if he's not, then you have to be able to discuss it honestly without having people say, well, you're just being negative and he's a young manager and he's this and that. My gut feeling on Mikel is that he'll never feel like he's making a mistake until he's no longer at Arsenal. I feel like as long as the club is giving him new contracts and they're behind him and all that kind of stuff, the decisions that he's making and the things that he's doubling down on, he'll continue to, because by staying in the job, he's being told that he's doing the right things. And the only time that you'll know you're not doing the right things is if you lose your job. If you are not good at your job and you lose it, then you'll have to sit down and reevaluate what you did wrong, which is what I think Emery did. I think Emery, when he lost the job with Arsenal, he sat back and thought about the things that he did wrong and fixed them. And so now he's a much better manager now at Aston Villa, now having other jobs and learning what he did wrong. I think Arteta is kind of like similar in that way where he'll probably only really be honest about the mistakes that he's making when he's not Arsenal manager. As long as he's Arsenal manager, he's being told that he's doing the right things and he's being like backed in the decisions that he's making. And so I don't expect much to change in the style that we're playing, in the lack of, the type of recruitment, as long as this is the path that we're going on. And so I'm not saying sack him. I'm just saying that that's how I feel. I just feel like he thinks he's right. And he's probably in the dressing room right now or on the team bus or wherever the fuck team plane, wherever, thinking that the players just didn't do the game plan right. And when he gets Odegaard back, everything will be right. Chosen One says, without OD, game plan is literally Saka, Bayless out set pieces. Kevin says, even if OD gets back, nothing drastic will happen. Team knows how our game play, plus always changing teams. We've no bench to influence the game. This is it for Arteta. No cups. He needs to go 5 seasons. Jonathan says, Mikel gambled his Arsenal career on Havertz. Again, you're just not allowed to have honest conversations. Even if you went back and you gave me the 65 million, as good as Havertz has done for us in 2024, I would still buy something else. I still would have bought the left center mid. I still would have bought a striker. I would have solved one of the issues. I would have, because he still hasn't solved any of the problems. We still need to buy a midfielder and we still need to buy a striker because he doesn't fully satisfy those parameters. So, it was a signing that we're making work, and it's separate from how well he's performed. But yeah, no. Donnie says, boy, Havertz and Rice are not top players. Rice was actually good today. I don't know what you're talking about. UK Arsenal says, just the reality is we would have drawn or won this game if we had a striker. But I'm not saying that we don't need a striker. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that we don't even create enough chances. We don't even really cross the ball, so and Arteta doesn't have a striker in the box. So I'm still concerned that even with a striker, like when Arteta got the team, instead of having Aubameyang down the middle, he threw him out wide and had him playing the Martinelli role, which is not always in the box. So my point is that maybe a striker would have helped, but if the striker is never in the box, which Havertz is not in the box, Jesus wasn't in the box, Aubameyang wasn't in the box, then what makes you think that him just buying a striker means that he's going to have him in the box? That was my point. But we still need to buy an attacker. We still need to buy a striker. Sib says our team sucks. I'm not Arteta out just yet, but I've moved closer to the movement. That performance is like the other 9. I don't think our team is as bad as people think it is. It's still not good enough, but I think what happens with, the low-hanging fruit is always like the players, like the individual player that I don't like is the reason why we haven't played well, and I just don't agree. I think regardless of what players we have, the football is not good enough. Aha says, hi, Jess. Newcastle have not had an easier game all season. Really poor from us going forward. Took 94 minutes to create a decent chance. It just reminds me of Aston Villa at home, Aston Villa away, West Ham at home, all those games last season and even earlier on this season where all you have to do is score one goal. Like against Aston Villa away, do you guys remember that last season? They scored a goal in probably like the first 4 minutes of the game. McGinn puts the ball in the back of the net, and we do not create a decent chance until the very end of the game, and then they call it back for Havertz handball. This was no different than that. We go through these phases all the time under Mikel Arteta. He's had one season of a good attack, one out of the 5 years. Every other year, there's been so many questions over our attack, and some of it is just he doesn't know how to buy attackers. He doesn't buy the right kinds, and he avoids obvious profiles. But some of it is he can't coach an attack consistently. We've always had questions around it. Why is it that we don't create chances in abundance? Why are we not, taking shots? Why are our chance creation numbers always so low? He just doesn't focus on it. It's just, yeah. So that reminded me so much of Aston Villa away. So much. All they had to do was score 1 goal. It was the easiest game they had all season. Shamari says, we can't even fucking defend well anymore. What the fuck has happened? I think we just hit a wall. I think we've just hit a wall, to be honest. Burmy says, what happened to the defensive solidity? They are conceding goals every game. I don't know. Ask Saliba. Sib says the league is done. No team has ever won from 8 points gap in 38 game season. Injuries shouldn't make your team drop this much. Let's see. John says Arteta just proved Evra right. Sib says, and our so-called best defense is useless. Shaking my head. Donnie says Partey was so good in the middle. He took him out and played him at right back. We weren't even, but we still weren't even playing well with Partey at DM. Do you guys think we were playing well? Like in any game this season? Like I felt like our best performance was probably PSG, and even that was spotty. Like I think people are focusing on very like small things. They're like, well, if Partey was at CDM, we would have won the game. We're dropping points with him at CDM. We struggled to beat Leicester and Southampton with him at CDM. Like we lost, we dropped points like in almost like so many games. He played CDM against Bournemouth. We lost that game. So it's not, we're at the point where it's beyond like just shuffle the pieces around and, whatever narrative. It should have been Jesus instead of Havertz. It should be Partey instead of Rice. It should be White instead of Timber. It should be so-and-so instead of so-and-so. I just feel like we're so beyond that now that like if you can't see that the football is just bad, I don't know if you're actually watching the football, because even when Partey was at CDM, we weren't playing well. So I don't know what to tell you. DAJ says the experiments need to stop already. Play everyone in their natural position. Ronnie says Saliba nowadays is becoming average. Chosen One says the thing is Arteta has coached an electric attack in the 2022-2023 season, and Nelly were Mavericks. With the experience they have now, I think they'd be more electric with that style of play. Yeah, I don't know what happened in the 2022-2023 season after that made him just completely abandon that style of play, because we've completely ditched it. Like completely. But even we had maybe, I have to look at the 2021-2022 season because it was just so brutal at the end, with us not making top 4, that I feel like I don't remember it clearly. But I think there were like the odd games here and there where we did look good attacking wise. But I think if in a 5-year period you only have one season of electric football, playing good football with good attacking plays, I almost feel like you lucked up on it and you didn't know how to maintain it because you didn't create it yourself or something like that, because there's just no way that you should have been able to unravel that. And yes, we needed to be more solidified at the back and really get rid of the individual mistakes. The biggest thing that we had in that season was the individual mistakes that cost us, and then we got really shaky at the end. But we've turned into a completely different side. And last season it kind of worked because our defense was so good. Now it's even worse. So I don't know, guys. I really don't. I don't know. I can't do the detector if I'm talking to y'all, because that's gonna take me a minute to change the batteries. So y'all just gonna have to hear that little blink blink, Shamari says this is 90% on Arteta. Players are overcoached and he's a coward. I don't know how people are not seeing Mikel as being the main culprit here. If every week it's you just need to change this player and this player, and then when that player plays in that position, it doesn't work. I don't know what to tell you. Like in the 9 game, like all the games that we played so far this season, I'll go through them right now. No matter who played in what position, it wasn't great. We had probably our best game was PSG. And even that in the second half was like, all right, just get it done. So let me go back up. We're so bad. Newcastle, poor. Preston actually took us like 20 something minutes to actually start attacking in that game, but we won because Preston are not a good team. Liverpool draw. That was actually a good performance. But we still drew. Should have won. Arsenal versus Shakhtar, probably one of our worst performances of the season. Barely scraped a win against Shakhtar. Let me see who's playing in that game. I mean, you guys are saying that Thomas Partey just needs to play in the DM role, but he started in that game in the DM role, and we could barely beat Shakhtar. This is what I'm saying. It's not even about the individuals at this point. Our football is really bad. Bournemouth, another game where we played a different midfield than the one that we played against Shakhtar. We were really bad in that game and lost. Southampton, struggle, but we won. PSG, we won. Probably our best performance. Leicester, struggled, but we won. Bolton, we won, but they're League Two. Manchester City, probably just, we kind of just willed the draw. Atalanta, another really poor performance from us. In fact, we have not performed well away from home yet. Atalanta was terrible away from home. Man City, we just tried to get it over the line. Tottenham was a terrible performance away from home, but we nicked it. Like, I mean, if you think this is about individual players, I don't know what to tell you, because even when Partey was playing DM, we weren't playing well. So and nobody was complaining about him playing right back when we were playing against Liverpool, and we actually played okay. So not sure it's about that. I really do think that the football is just bad, and Mikel is the main culprit. Yeah, like I just don't. Yeah, Die Hard says we beat Shakhtar, but we were terrible. I'm talking about the performances. You guys aren't listening. The performances have been bad all season. The results are starting to catch up now. I Am King says, very bad how Arsenal haven't brought in a creative midfielder. UK says, Jess, you know how our fans are in love with Arteta. He's supposed to be the best looking Spaniard. It's in our fan base. Let's see. Donnie says, inverted wing backs every time. So you want Arteta to go? I didn't say that. I'm just saying that it shouldn't be like a totally like off topic conversation. Like there's no way that you could ever even discuss it. Anytime that you even discuss maybe Arteta's not the guy to get us to where we want to go, which is winning Champions League and Premier Leagues and stuff, you get cussed out and called a fucking league gunner. So that's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying that we're just not playing particularly well, and I don't think it's the individuals. I really think it's the manager's not coaching good football. Hector says, I have not watched Arsenal last two, but we have not been playing. I have not watched Arsenal last two, but we have not been playing well for the majority of the season. Struggle football, crawling over the line football. Jason says, Arteta being to blame for something doesn't mean we want him gone. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he has to go tomorrow, but equally, I do think that 5 years in, with 2 seasons in a row where you didn't win any trophies, actually like 3 seasons in a row, you haven't won any trophies, and now this season, we know we're not going to win the league. It's very unlikely we're going to win the Champions League. I just feel like it shouldn't be super taboo to even like suggest that maybe he's not the guy. But if you do, you're fucking done. These people are gonna come at your neck. Sam says, just you've been calling out the bad performances even when we were winning. You spoke facts and people didn't listen. And but that's why I keep it real. That's why I don't try to bow down to the majority, because I think the majority can be loud and wrong at times. I remember under Ten Hag, I was watching, Manchester United play, and I was just like, they're getting it over the line, but they're not playing well. Like, I'm not even saying aesthetically good football. I'm just like, they're not playing good football at all. They're getting it over the line. They're getting lucky, and it'll crash and burn. And it did. It crashed and burned. And it took a while for it to crash and burn, but when it did, it was like unrecoverable. And I feel similarly to the way I'm watching us play right now is there are times where we get it over the line and it's fine, but fundamentally, I think for long periods of time, we don't have good performances from minute 1 to minute 90. There's not a single game this season where we played well the entire 90 minutes. Um, None of our away performances have been good. And we're not creating chances and scoring goals. And we struggled even to beat relegation fodder at home. So we struggled to beat Shakhtar. That's really bad. So I'm just going to call it how I see it. I don't think we should have lost or dropped points in every game that we went down to 10 men. I feel like it's just I don't know. Yeah. Tashego says Arsenal should inform Arteta that this last season they'll be moving to another option. Wait, they'll be moving to their option into next season. Zaghi and Alonso are there for a move next season. They're giving him a new contract. So Burmy says consistency and rhythm lead to fluidity. The performances have been lacking the whole season. The strategy needs to change. And yeah, like we just want to see, like at this stage, we should be getting into our flow. And I feel like we're getting worse as the season is going on in terms of like we're not able to put paper over the cracks. Guys are getting tired, they're flat, and they might be tired of the football. I think there's a lot of players in our team that are used to playing probably a more like Benzema, come here. They're probably used to playing a more progressive style. So playing this way is probably a little bit harder to play, so maybe they've just hit a wall playing this way. I don't know. Come here, Benzema. What's wrong? Why are you crying? So yeah. Hey, can you move? What are you doing? I don't know why this child is crying. So yeah, the Nguena, whatever, says she knows nothing. Ha ha, ha clown. Okay. The Pip the Gooner says some people were turning their nose up at Fabian Ruiz. Arteta and Edu need to go. Emery didn't get this level of patient. He is a spicy Brendan Rodgers when he was at Liverpool. I don't know. Cameron says Pool and City trailing. Even if they are, you guys, like, let's be real. Are they both going to lose and drop points? Probably not. And are we going to not drop? I mean, because we could genuinely like lose so many more games. So yeah, I don't even pay attention to Liverpool and City because chances are we'll drop more points than them. What are you doing? What was going on? Children. What's wrong, sweetie? 2 dogs is just crazy right now. I think Benzema's okay. Jason says, my dog cries when the fire alarm battery needs replacing. It hurts their ears. Okay, so yeah, definitely need to change that. Sam says, you are both sad and emotionally in control. You are both sad and emotionally in control at the same time. I think I came to grips with it at the beginning of the season. I had my crash out when the transfer window closed because I just couldn't believe. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like I just was like, I can't believe that this is our window. I just couldn't believe it. So now throughout the season, I'm just feeling more like regular, if that makes sense. Like I'm just like, okay, we're not going to win the league. Clement says Arteta isn't good enough to lead Arsenal to winning trophies. CE says Top Gooners will say we only lost 2 games in 6 months. That's the same as saying like, well, since Christmas, we've been the 4th best team in the league. Like those are things that you say when you're trying to convince somebody that we're better than what we are. If we're good, we'll win trophies. If we're the best team, we'll win the league. Like it's very simple. The math is very simple. The spreadsheet warriors really need to like get off the spreadsheets and watch football with their eyes. We are not, if you watch us, you don't think we're going to win the league. No one is watching us and thinking that we're good enough to win the league because we're probably not. The most looking like we were going to win the league was the first year that we challenged. That was it. The last 2 years, we haven't looked like winning. We just haven't, so I think 2 games and losing 2 games and a blah, blah, blah. It's not about the 6-month period. It's about this season. This season, we've dropped so many points already. It's just not, I don't want to hear about this year. You know, I don't want to hear about we scored 91 goals last season. I don't give a fuck because we didn't score against Aston Villa at home. I don't give a fuck. We didn't score against West Ham at home. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Like, you know, like that don't matter to me. We didn't score when it mattered. Die Hard says the transfer window was crap because we spent 105 million on an average at best midfielder the year before. Yeah, I guess so. You know, I don't know. You guys can never convince me that Rice is not a good player. I really just feel like it's all residual because people are mad that people wanted him to start over Partey. I really just think you guys are so transparent. Rice actually played good today. He also played good against Liverpool. He was one of our best players last season when Partey was nowhere to be found. You can never convince me that Rice is not a top player. Like, it's so, you mean Pep Guardiola doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about? He didn't know that, you know, Rice was a bang average player. Like, come on. Let's be so serious right now. Get over it. It's not Rice's fault that Partey wasn't available all last season. It's just not, you know, so if you want to, I don't know, if you want to have an agenda against Marino and Rice because Partey can't stay fit, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's just get over it. Johnny says, luckily I have another favorite team, Rapid Bucharest. Bucharest. They will save my soul after our Arsenal buried it. Tishego says, Edu also needs to go. He's inexperienced and an enabler, no cojones. UK Arsenal says, let's stop making excuses. Has nothing to do with Rice. The manager is crap and useless. Anton Dunn says, Jess Rice is not worth 105 million in any universe. Just get him for 75 or get someone else. Well, how many players are actually worth what you get them for? I guess that would be a really good question. You know, not very many. Most players that go for like over 75 million, they're not technically worth that. So I don't know. It's just, if you feel like Rice is the main problem, fine. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Jason says, I missed the transfer window rant. So just curious, who do you think solves these issues player wise? Any striker that scores goals, like home and away, that's an actual striker. A winger that's better than Martinelli. I mean, you don't even have to get like Rodrigo. I really think Martinelli is teetering on good to average, like level Premier League attacker. I don't even think you have to go to get Rodrigo to improve upon him. I said in the summer, I was like, I think, you know, it's not just about the left-hand side. I really think he's stagnated. You know, so can't really name like individual names right now because, you know, I'm not thinking like that deeply into it, but I think we don't have a single striker that's known for scoring goals. So I would say bringing in a striker that's known for scoring goals could help you because neither one of Jesus or Havertz are known for scoring goals. So just that, you know, midfield wise, you know, anybody that, you know, was, you know, I can't even think of somebody right now because it's just none of them are realistic. But I mean, the guy that played against us today is not a bad player, is he? You know, if you had him in there instead of Marino, or, you know, if you had Odegaard, Bruno, and Rice, which is the midfield that I've always spoken about, I think we would be fine. But whatever. Like, I can't think of names right now because I'm thinking about this individual game. But I do feel like Arteta's coaching bad football. I really do. So yeah, Lionide says, how long has Odegaard been on grass? Probably like a week. Temi says, Arteta's tactics are the first things to blame. But on the other hand, Havertz, Martinelli, Trossard, and Rice have been horrible for the last few games. Did you watch the Liverpool game? Because you couldn't have thought Rice was bad if you watched the Liverpool game. He just gets lumped in. But it would be interesting if we ever got a new coach. I bet you Rice would continue to play. If Rice was really bad, let's see if Tuchel continues to play him. Because it can't just be that he's the worst player on the planet and everybody plays him. It just can't be it. But you guys were trying to convince me that Odegaard was not a good player a couple weeks ago. And now you guys are begging for him to get back in. So I do think I get it. You guys love Partey. You guys are mad that I told you guys that we should have moved on from him. I still think we should move on from him. That'll never change. The fact that he's so important to our team is a failing on our club, not only from a moral standpoint, but from just the standpoint of somebody's on 200,000 pounds per week. And we know once he gets injured, that's it. So, yeah, it'll never change. You guys can say Rice in the comments all you want. He played well today, and he played well against Liverpool. He was one of our best players last season when Partey was nowhere to be found. So, don't know what to tell you. It will never change. Jason says, don't we think that once Arteta gets these goal poaching strikers, he'd just chuck them in the midfield or some ungodly that's what I was saying. I was saying that if we just had a striker, I'm like, no, because the striker wouldn't be in the box. The striker wouldn't be in the box. Arteta doesn't have his strikers in the box. He had Aubameyang playing left wing, and trying to make him into a creator. Aubameyang wasn't even in the box. He preferred Lacazette central than Aubameyang because he wants his center forward to be a facilitator. So that's why I'm like, yeah, you could buy a striker. And I think that's why he doesn't buy a striker, is because he doesn't, that's not his first and foremost. Because a striker is like a facilitator type of player. It's not a goal scorer. So, yeah. Lionite says Partey, our best player today. He was good today. Doesn't change the fact that I think Rice is an amazing player. Sorry. Jason says, but that highlights that it's not just the transfer window, it's the tactics. Like I said, right now, the biggest problem that we have is Mikel. Clement says, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and follow Jess on social media. Jessica Black or Jess Black. Thank you so much. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but I really think Arteta's coaching very poorly. Right now, the players are flat. And once you get to the point where people are trying to convince you that really good players are not good, yeah, it's pretty lost. We all know that a good coach can get a lot more out of even not so great players. So we're just not playing at a high enough level. And a lot of people are talking about it, to be honest. A lot of people are talking about the manager. And I think that that's a good thing because they're not getting locked into player FC and freaking, scapegoating. Martinelli was not the only reason why we didn't win today. Trossard was not the only reason why we didn't win today. He's coaching terrible. I don't know what to tell you. It's just not good. Foxy says Callum Wilson will be available in January. Fair enough. Let's see. Blaze says, no, she doesn't. No, why would I pray for Partey's injury? You guys are I like you guys. Don't get me wrong. I love my community, but sometimes you guys just are don't use your brains. Why would I pray for Thomas Partey's injury? First of all, I don't have to pray for one. It's always coming. So it's not my fault that I don't think we should re-sign somebody that spent the majority of his Arsenal career on the medical table. I don't want Jesus to stay. I don't want Tomiyasu to stay. I don't want any injury-prone players to stay. And I don't have to wish on their injuries because they are always injured. It's always around the corner. So I don't know what to tell you. And trying to make it Rice or Marino doesn't change the fact that a lot of people don't like him for very genuine reasons. And nothing will change that. When we give him a new contract, the level of vitriol this club is going to get is going to be insane. And we deserve it. So I don't care, But I think some of you guys get to the point where you say anything and anything because you can't browbeat me into believing what you believe. I don't want injury-prone players at our team. I don't. I want them out. Their injuries will always be a problem. And you can't just rock up the year that you're going to get a new contract and this be the only season that you maintain your fitness. It just, yeah. So I love Rice, and I think he was one of our best players last season. I don't think he's a problem. But I know where a lot of this is coming from. People were mad that people were saying that Rice should be playing over Partey, and they cannot let go of the idea of a 31-year-old that's played probably like what? He's played what more this season than he played like all in the last season or something like that. Like, it's just that simple. Lionhead says only Odegaard can unlock the maze. What happens when Odegaard comes back and we're still not playing well, though? Like, I feel like that's where I'm concerned is that it was like when Saka comes back, it'll be fine. When so and so is fit, it'll be fine. When, when we get Saliba back from suspension, it'll be fine. When so and so, when Timber comes back, when Calafiori comes back, it's like a ever roller coaster. And I do love Odegaard, by the way. Odegaard is my favorite player. So I do think we're missing him, but I don't think we're playing well with him. So I don't know if we can really just put all of our eggs into the Odegaard basket. I think Arteta needs to learn how to coach without certain players in the team. So yeah, the guy says, why is our best midfielder playing right back? I don't know. Ask Mikel. You guys are saying Mikel's not a problem. You're saying, okay, well, Rice is the problem, but Rice is not the reason why Partey was playing right back. So you guys don't make sense. Like, of course, Mikel is the problem. Jason says, gonna start journalist rumors that Gyökeres played left back at a youth level. Might get Arteta's attention. The guy says, why is our best midfielder player? I read that one. Yemi says, maybe we need a Dubai trip. It's over. Lionhead says Odegaard will need to find some match sharpness. Exactly. Like, how many matches is it going to take Odegaard to get up to fitness now? He's been out for a long time. So he needs to figure out a better way soon. And we're not going to have, like, you wasted the easy games. We had easy games at home where we could have, like, used them. I think we play Ipswich not too long from now either. So all of, like, the bottom fodder, the relegation fodder bottom teams, we will have played all of them. So, all games are going to be hard. And right now we can't beat Bournemouth. We can't beat Newcastle. So, and I was saying this, I was like, we're going to struggle. We couldn't beat Bournemouth, Brighton, or Newcastle. These are all teams that are not even in the top. They're not even in the top. They are, Newcastle is 12th, Bournemouth is 11th, and Brighton is 6th. So we couldn't even beat those teams. So how are we going to play against Nottingham Forest, Brentford, Fulham? We're going to struggle against those teams. And it's like, okay, well, if Odegaard's there, we'll just win it. No, we won't. I'm telling you, the coaching is not good enough. Jamari says, I honestly don't know what Arteta does to fix the team. Cabello says, why Arteta forcing Marino on us at cost of Partey? I don't know. Again, we weren't winning games with Marino not in the team. So it's not really the individuals. If you actually look back at our games, when Marino wasn't playing, we still weren't playing well. So yeah. Let's see. Mubarak says Arsenal must get midfielder like Bruno Guimaraes and a striker like Gyökeres. It sucks that Bruno had to have his best game of the season against us, but it was so obvious. It was just so obvious that he was going to have a good game against us. It's just crazy. Yeah. So Lionhead says, I have no problems with Marino. My problem is that Odegaard don't play. Shamaria says, why is Marino being scapegoated? I don't know. I don't know. When Marino didn't start the season and we weren't playing well. So it's kind of like, it's just all the same. I hate Rice and Marino because he's not Partey, even though we haven't won a single trophy with Partey in our team. We haven't won a league. We haven't won a Karabuki. He's played about 50% of games since he's been at Arsenal. But, as long as if he starts in the center defensive midfielder, we will win games. But we weren't winning games. So we just need to be so fucking for real right now. Nuances of Fate says we had a poor window. Not surprised at all. Should have just bought a center forward and a proper CM. Exactly. But once that window closed, I was so surprised. I was so surprised. I was like, even Arsenal could surprise me. Because most of the time I'm not surprised, but they don't act like they want to win a major trophy. They act like they have all the time in the world, that no one's going to catch up to us. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing, but you just genuinely cannot go into a second window after the first one. You didn't buy an attacker, they bought Kai Havertz to be a midfielder. So you didn't buy an attacker that window. And this is what I'm saying about like the band-aids. Arteta gets a band-aid and he uses it and it works, and then he uses it even when it's falling off. Kai Havertz was a good little band-aid for Jesus playing like shit last season. And we used that all the way until the end of the season, and it kind of worked for us. But this past summer, we should have never gone into, this season saying that, well, Kai Havertz, because he played well in a period where we didn't have anyone else available, really, he's going to be our answer. And that's exactly what we did. Now Trossard is our answer at 10. He shouldn't be an answer. Even though it was good for like a game, of course it's not going to work a long term. So I don't really get it, but you just can't be saying that you want to win the league after the window that you had. You just can't. I'm so sorry. I like Calafiori. I think he actually I think Calafiori is the level of player that we need. I just feel like we need that level further up the damn pitch. Our passing network is awful in the second half. We generated 0.0 xG on target against Newcastle in this game, and I'm not even like that surprised, just because once the game started, you could tell what we were going to be on. Bournemouth 2-0, Shakhtar 1-0, terrible performance. Liverpool draw at home, should have won. Preston won because they're shit and lost to Newcastle. That's a really bad run of games. So I don't know. If you think it's just because of a certain player, it's because Rice and Marino, then good luck to you, because it's really the manager. It's so obvious. Cabello says, one shot on target the whole game. That says a lot. Havertz drafting in the sides and squaring the ball when he should be the one receiving the cross. That's been Arteta 101 the whole time. Like, our striker is never where they need to be. He doesn't like the striker being the goal scorer. He likes the striker to create for suboptimal options. I like striker, like fullbacks and wingers and attacking midfielders to create chances for the striker. He does it the opposite. He has his striker creating chances for his fullbacks. He having like Calafiori and Timber arrive in the box for chances that Kai Havertz started. That's crazy to me. Like, the football. Yeah. Boy says, if we had Willock today, that's my only contribution to the stream today, we aren't winning the league. Johnny D says, that's not true. We actually started well this time. Ask James. Players dropped off after conceded goals, loser mentalities over and over again. You thought we started well today? I feel like I know the charade, though. I feel like you guys are still like falling for the first 10 to 15 minutes where we try to score a goal and we're dominant, but I don't think we've scored a goal in the first 5 minutes of the game this season. In fact, like, I'd be surprised if we scored one in the first 10 or 15 minutes. Because we start off a game all fast, but then we drop off after the first 15 minutes of the game, especially if we don't score. So I think we have to change our definition of starting well. Arsenal starting well in a game has to come down to a goal. It just has to. Liverpool, first game, that's probably like the only game that we started well. So out of all of the games where actual dominance ended in a goal is Liverpool at home. That's it. I'm going to check, because I think we need to change our definition of what starting well is. I think if we have possession and we're, kind of in the half spaces, if we're not getting shots off, that's not good to me. Because I know this team, after the first 15 minutes, they stop attacking. So against Wolves, no. We didn't score in the first 15 minutes against Aston Villa. No. Against Brighton. No. Tottenham. No. Man City. No. Leicester. No. Southampton. No. Bournemouth, we know. No, because we didn't score a goal. Liverpool and Newcastle. So yeah, out of all of the games this season, we had one goal in the first 15 minutes of the game. So, and most games, if you guys are actually watching our games, you will notice that we start off all fast. And what teams are realizing now is if you get through the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game against Arsenal, they will fall off and then you can get into the game. If we don't score in those first 15 minutes, they know they got us. Because after that, we're going to drop off. We're going to get into the center circle and we're going to start passing slowly or losing control of the game because the other team steps onto us after that point. So we've had one game where we actually, whatever that dominance is that we have in the first 10 to 15 minutes, we actually took advantage of it. One game. So we didn't start off well today. We did our usual like fakery where we act like we're all up for the game. And then we got sucker punched and then we couldn't muster a chance for the rest of the game. No, we don't play well at the beginning. Jason says ball control stats and lack of end product is a metaphor for Arteta's reign so far. Listen, I think the worst part about it is I feel like we're kind of trapped. Because no matter what happens this season, he's going to stay. So there's no out. We're just kind of going to keep on with this. So we have to hope that Arteta changes, but he's so stuck in his ways and very adamant that he's doing the right things. So all we can really hope is that when Odegaard gets back, it all clicks together. But I don't think it's going to. Did Arteta blame Martinelli again? Hold on, let me just listen to this really quick. Oh, wow. Arteta said Marino and Martinelli had big chance each. And I honestly don't remember those chances. Wow. I can't believe you just said that. Okay. Lionide says it will click. You will see the difference. Jason says, I think he's good enough to evolve, but he's standing in his own way. Johnny says we need to win something. A Carabao would save our season at least. It would. He actually said that we had big chances and we didn't. If that's how he sees the game, I was actually disappointed when he said that, Martinelli should have scored that chance against Bournemouth and he made a big deal out of that because even though I agree that Martinelli should have scored, if you only create one chance for a player that's not in form and he's not clinical, then you're lost. He's liking this football where we don't create any chances, and we didn't look superior to Newcastle at all in this game. It wasn't even like we had superior patterns of play or, we had any sort of superiority. We were so poor. Jason, he didn't have a big chance tonight. What is he talking about? He didn't even mention the Rice chance. He said Mikel Merino and Martinelli had big chances. What I do expect him to say is not that he messed up, my bad. He could say that we didn't create enough today. And if you don't create enough chances, you can't win a game. So that's not expecting, that's not saying I'm shit, I'm a terrible manager. That's not what I'm expecting him to say, but paint a clear picture of the game. We did not create enough chances. We were not dangerous. We were ass. We didn't do the basics right. Like, to just say we had those two chances, and that's, to me, that's just like not painting a clear picture and blaming the players when he's actually more of the problem. But this is where I keep telling you guys, he's the type of person that he has the backing of the club, and he's gonna always think he's doing the right thing, because people are telling him he's doing the right thing and they're backing his ideas. So as long as that's happening, he doesn't have any incentive to change. There's literally no incentive for Mikel to change. He's not under pressure to win trophies or to keep his job. Everybody's telling him he's doing a good job. He's getting everything he wants. When he's in the windows, he's getting what he wants. So what is the incentive for him to change? So Pip says, if Slot wins a major before Arteta, how would you feel? Nothing. I wouldn't feel anything. I got absolutely killed this season for saying that Liverpool would finish above us. And they had a better chance of winning the league than we did. So, like, as much as I would be annoyed by it, it feels like an inevitability. Like, they have world-class players. They didn't even have to play well against us to get a draw at our place. We were dominant and had all the territory, winning all the 1v1 battles. We had all the chances in the first half. We could only score 2 goals, and they scored 2 goals by doing basically nothing. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's whatever. It really is. Like, he has to start taking accountability, I think. Mazvita says he's definitely wanting to get rid of Nelly. Yeah, I mean, he's already tried to buy players in that position, but he should have bought a winger this summer. Like, why would you know what I mean? You should have bought a winger this summer. Why would you leave all of your eggs in Martinelli's basket when you know that he had a Hall of Shame season last season? And you just were like, cool, we're just gonna keep on with this. This is my thing. It's like, you can't be mad that Martinelli's missing chances when you didn't get a winger. I'm so sorry. Mr. Happy says we need an upgrade at left wing so badly. Not even, I mean, Nico Williams is not coming to Arsenal. He'll still go to Barcelona. So, but I mean, fuck it. You could get Matoma at this stage and you'd be in a better position. Martinelli is he's like a standard level Premier League winger. Kovac says Edu failed not getting us Nico Williams. Jason said, I'd be feeling real hard done by if I was Martinelli. Not saying Nelly is the solution, but to be called out in the press, come on now. It's second time, by the way. Not only that, I feel like he also was remonstrating on the sideline when Nelly against Liverpool. He had visual visible frustration towards him. So I think it's kind of obvious that he's not feeling Martinelli. That being said, you went into the summer and not done anything. So Jolien said, Northside told you, Lee told you, goddamn, you chat shit. She knows fuck all. Anybody that actually watches my channel knows how I feel about Mikel, and I've actually never talked to Lee Gunner, so he can't tell me anything. But Northside, we never really disagreed on a bunch of things, but what I did disagree on was that all of our players are shit. And so I do agree that Mikel has to win trophies. And if you actually watch those shows, you would know that I said those things. So Northside hasn't told me anything. Lee hasn't told me anything. I can't in 1 minute be Leanne Gunner and the next moment be a toxic positive. You guys don't watch my content. You don't either watch it and you don't absorb it, or you're just too stupid to understand it. You're not telling me anything. You know, like I've always said that Mikel is one of our bigger issues. Every season, I have problems with him. Never said he was the guy. I just really disagree with anytime we're going through a bad period. All of our players are ass. Every player we've ever bought was a mistake. I don't agree with that, you know. So if that's him telling me, then fine. But I never really disagreed with the fact that Mikel has huge pitfalls. So you're not telling me anything. And Lee can't tell me anything because I've never spoken to him in real life. He talks about me constantly, like he's obsessed, and I've literally never spoken to him before. So I don't know what to tell you. Shamaria says, yeah, Arteta must have a Martinelli agenda, but then buy an attacker. You know, can't be frustrated with players that you keep in the team and don't, like you don't see what I'm saying. So Nuances of Fate says our signings are mediocre. We keep buying average players, and Arteta keeps players for the wrong reasons. Um, an Untold Legend says, yeah, Northside and then types annoy me because they're essentially staying on task that the sky is going to fall so they can act like they had all the answers all the time. And like, here's my problem with it is that they have problems with me. I don't have problems with them. I don't think about them. I don't talk about them. They talk about me on their streams. I don't talk about them. They want me to come on streams to give them shit. I don't care. I know what I said, but anybody that's on this channel knows that I've always had an issue with Mikel and always had questions on whether or not he was the guy. Always. Am I fair about if you hire a manager that has no experience, you have to build that into, like if somebody doesn't have experience, you have to build that in, So if you hire somebody that's like a entry level, you're going to expect to have that person need more time to get up to speed than an executive that's done it for a long time. It's very like basic shit. But should it last forever? No. The honeymoon period shouldn't last forever. And you should expect trophies. And I've always said that. So like it's just I don't think I'm positive or negative. I just think that I don't toe any sort of side because then you can't be honest. I feel like if you're negative, you have to be dishonest when we're doing well. And if you're too positive, you have to be dishonest when like when we're not playing well. So I try not to do either and just say how I'm actually feeling. And like I said, I don't talk about them. They talk about me. They have my name in their mouth. They're obsessed with me. So they need to figure out why they're obsessed with me. I don't have a problem. I don't send people from my streams to their streams. I don't. So I don't know what to tell you, but I really do. I am scared that Arteta is slipping. And if he were to not finish in, if he doesn't win a trophy, we really need to have a very honest discussion about if he's actually the guy. Because it's not about him being a good coach. It's not about him rebuilding the club. It's about him winning trophies. And I'm really afraid that he's not. Because the reality is, I like Mikel, and I would love for him to be the guy to take us there. But if he's not the guy, then we have to like do something, But it's early on in the season, so nobody wants to hear those conversations. But I feel like it's an ever-present conversation when every season it's like a continuation of the same thing. And that's why there's never any stop in between the seasons. And it's like, oh, well, it's early. A lot of people don't care that it's early because their gripe with Mikel started a long time ago. So I do feel as though like we're in a difficult position now because we're not going to win the league, especially playing the way that we're playing for sure, and the points that we've already dropped. Champions League looks tough, as it is. And we're not playing well. And I think that's my biggest concern is that if we're playing well and good, effective football, we'll win games. But we're so far away from that, and I don't think it's just an Arteta thing or an Odegaard thing. So yeah, Jason says 3 points, 5 games, and the same as 3 points. 3 points in 5 games in is the same as 3 points in 25 games in. Shamari says, I just put third place in Carabao Cup in the bag. Boy says, Jess, might I suggest trying to do a stream with the lads from Bergkamp Wonderland? I consider them very balanced and leaning towards positive. Yeah, I mean, I'm down to do like podcasts with like basically anybody. Like, I actually don't have a problem being on streams with people that I don't agree with. And I would love to do more collaborations. The only problem is that I am busier. Like, I have like work in a little while and I have to get off anyway. But like I'm finding it hard to find time too. But yeah, I'll do some more collaborations. I actually like talking to people that I have a different opinion of because I feel like they give you a good insight. But often in this fan base, you're either only do content with negative people or you only do content with positive people. And to me, that's not the way to get like the best discourse. I feel like you have to have people that have differences of opinions or it doesn't work. Jason says, my problem is that I want Arteta to be the guy to lead us to the promised land, but he's making it harder to want that. And I do think that that's the biggest maybe problem with the conversations around Mikel is that there are a lot of people that want Mikel to be the guy. We're very like in a very emotional and attached group of fans. We've only had a couple of coaches, like in our lifetimes, we've only had a couple of coaches. So we want our next Arsenal. We don't want to go through multiple coaches and fire and sack and fire and sack. And Arteta has the story behind him. It's somebody that used to play for us, that captained us, being the guy, right? And for a lot of people, this is the first team that they've ever been attached to anyway. So they're attached to the manager as well. But at some point, your want for it to be Arteta has to be within the context of, do you want him to be it just because of the story or because you like, are you holding on to it just because of the story or do you actually believe he's going to be the guy? And at some point you need to detach from that and like look at it from the outside looking in. I think most people know that, you know, at this point, if you don't have questions, I would be very surprised, you know? So yeah. Timmy says Arteta is bad for young footballers' careers. He doesn't know how to use or manage them. And Untold Legend says, I never thought he was the guy. He's pushing above his weight. I just want a proper manager that's going to keep us at our best. And it's very much the devil you know type of situation. It's also, you know, I think Arsenal are very bad at timing as well. Very, very bad at timing. And you have to sack at the right time. And I think we're getting into that period too where it's probably too late. You know, if you were going to, you would have done it when there were more managers available. Now the better managers are not available. Like if you wanted to go for like you guys probably don't want these managers, but like now Emery is gone, Slot is gone, Tuchel is gone, Nagelsmann is not available. You know, so there's some better names that aren't available. And so even if you did want to sack Mikel, the options that are there, you know, are like, you know, are they actually really that good of options? So yeah, I think our timing is always off too, but that's just me. And then somebody was saying, like Allegri, no, I think we need somebody still a little bit more progressive. You know, for us, for Arsenal, I think we need somebody a little bit more progressive. Yeah. So yeah, Lionide says change the manager and the best players will leave too. I don't actually agree with that. I think players would stay. They have contracts anyways. Like, how are they just going to leave? But if you bring in the right manager that ignites fire and love for the game again, they'll be fine. I don't really know very many people that think this way, that if you change the manager, that all your players will leave. I don't actually think that they'll all leave. But I do want Arteta to be the guy, but if he's not, I'm cool on it. You know, I think we need somebody that's going to move us forward. And I think another thing that people are afraid of is that he'll be successful somewhere else. And it's the Emery effect. You know, you have somebody that wasn't right for you. I stand by it. Emery was not right for us. He's the manager that he is now is not the manager that he was for Arsenal, and he never would have became that because the pressure was just too hot. it was just too hot. And he was the guy after the guy that was never going to work. But he went somewhere else. He went to different clubs and, got better. And now he's arriving at the right club for him and he's successful somewhere else. Arteta probably will be successful somewhere else if he were to leave Arsenal. And the only way that it would hurt us is if we would hire a bad manager after Mikel. And that's my biggest concern about where we are right now, is that we're locked into this identity with Mikel and there's no way that they'll ever sack him. I really don't think they ever will. I have no faith that they would ever sack him. I think they would always give him time. That being said, do I even trust Edu and the club to hire the right manager? No, I don't, because these guys go through multiple windows and sign the wrong players over and over again. So how do I know that you're going to, I'm actively watching them do it with Arsenal women. They weren't like Jonas. If you think Arteta's bad, Jonas was one of the worst coaches. And it was obvious last season that he wasn't the right guy. They let him stay, let him ruin the beginning of this season. And he had to leave. He didn't even get sacked. He left. And now they're taking forever to sign a new manager. And the guy that they're talking about is a failed manager at Manchester City from years before. So, and that's Edu is leading that process. So my biggest concern is that we're locked in with Mikel anyway. And there's nothing that he can do to be moved on. But even if he was, could Mikel or could Edu even find a guy? So yeah, Stefan says we need to get rid of Arteta immediately. He has shown he is not the man indefinitely. I mean, they'll wait for, they'll wait for Odegaard to get in there. If Odegaard gets back and we don't look better or we continue to drop points, then I think everything it'll get really bad. I do, because we'll finish at the end of this season, or we'll finish the end of this weekend in 7th, most likely. And that's just not a good place to be at this stage in the season. No matter what you think about how early on it is in the season, it's not good. So 7th is just, losing to 12th place Newcastle, losing to Bournemouth, dropping points to Brighton at home, not being able to get it over the line against Liverpool, not being able to get it over the line at Man City. We're dropping loads of points. So, let's just see what happens with Odegaard. But yeah, I don't actually think Mikel is under any sort of pressure. So, I know a lot of fans are running out of patience, but I just don't see anything changing. Pip the Gooner says Arsenal has always been a slow club throughout history. We take time to get new managers, take ages to announce players, to buy players, slow FC. Yeah. Boy says the football is not champagne and we aren't winning. And I think this is another thing, is that if we're not winning anything, people want to watch good football. And right now we're not even playing good football. We're not even close to it. Our football, we have regressed so badly as a team. From the moment when we were playing, even last season we were playing good football at the end, but 2 seasons ago, popping it around at Stamford Bridge, we're so far away from that. So I don't know how we get back, but the Newcastle game, I remember there was a time where we would lose games and I would be crashing out so badly. I just couldn't handle it. Now I feel like we've dropped so many points so far this season and we've had just so many red cards and stuff already that I'm almost fatigued. I almost can't wait for the next international break so Arsenal can be done just for a little bit. And I hate to feel that way so early on in the season, but man, I think it's just this is the third, failed kind of title race and I just don't have it in me. But we'll see what happens when Odegaard gets back. But in terms of player ratings, only a couple players played well. Most players played poor, but I have to give Mikel a 0. I really think he needs to look at himself and say, Why does my team play some of the worst football in the league? It's terrible. You know, why is it that they can't pass the ball to each other? Why are they playing hot potato? Why are we not creating any chances? Why don't we look like scoring? Why is it that the other team scores in the 12th minute and we can't muster a chance? Why is it that we continuously play bad away from home? You know, what, you know, and don't just go, oh, well, it's because we don't have Odegaard or they didn't execute the plan. No, so there you go. Make sure you guys smash the likes on your way out. I got work to do. I actually have to go outside and go work. So yeah, but we will reconvene at another point. Hopefully you guys don't let it ruin your weekend, but it is the Arsenal, so we'll see. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.